Donald Trump walked on stage a couple of days ago, looked at the world and said, I want to crash the global market. He didn't actually say those words, but that's what his words really meant. And get ready, because the entire global economy needs to be brutally assaulted for no reason by me. He then walked off stage and they said, no, sir, you have to come sign the executive order. So then he walked back on stage. He signed the executive order. He walked off stage and said, phew, that was a lot of work. I need to go take a long weekend. And so he did. Isn't that great? He's taken a long weekend to really rest up from all of his work destroying our economy. And so he started Thursday night going on a golf trip. I'll tell you what he was not doing in a little bit. Pretty tragic. But also while on this golf trip, he was ranting about a subject that is bizarre. So I'll go through all that. Let's talk about all the different updates. Here's first some more video of him arriving on the golf course, getting ready to have a very pleasant time. As you suffer, he gets to play golf. It's great. We're all so happy about that. And if you don't know which Donald Trump I'm talking about, this one. This is the Trump that I am talking about. Please do click the subscribe button. Here we go. I talked about this rant of his. Daily Beast reports, and this was while he was on this golf trip. Trump goes on late night rant defending far-right leader. So essentially, Marine Le Pen, who is the far-right leader in France, she got herself into legal trouble. It's a weird thread. Now, we see this as, wow, it's so weird that so many Bolsonaro, Trump, Le Pen, these far-right leaders are all getting themselves into legal trouble because they're corrupt. MAGA interprets this as, see, the global deep state is trying to take them all down. 5 days, the Daily Beast reports, after France's far-right leader, Marine Le Pen, was convicted of embezzling millions of euros from the European Parliament, President Donald Trump is suddenly decrying the verdict. So while a total crisis is breaking out at home, for some reason, he's spending text breath, focusing on Marine Le Pen's legal troubles. As a crisis at home of his making is developing, he's golfing and ranting about Le Pen. Really? Whacked priorities. America first? ? The people say. Le Pen, 56, was sentenced to 4 years in prison, 2 of them suspended, and issued a 5-year ban on running for office effective immediately. That means in this next election that she had a really good shot of winning. She, unless she can get this successfully overturned, won't be able to run. Much of the MAGAverse had already raged against the conviction soon after it was handed down on Monday, but Trump waited until late Thursday. The same day, global stock markets plummeted in response to his universal tariff declaration to finally take up Le Pen's cause. Again, weird timing. I don't know Marine Le Pen, but I do appreciate, and actually we'll read that whole post in a second here, but just to give you a little bit more context about her situation here. In fact, the court found Le Pen and 24 co-defendants had used the European Parliament as a cash cow, diverting nearly $5 million in parliamentary funds over an 11-year period when her party's coffers were precariously low. So instead of looking at that and the evidence that was brought forward to substantiate it, the argument from MAGA is it's not just judges here, prosecutors here, all the courts here, all of the legal systems here, but also across the world that are working to hurt every far-right leader. All right. Well, Trump said this. The witch hunt against Marine Le Pen is another example of European leftists using lawfare to silence free speech and censor their political opponent, this time going so far as to put the opponent in prison. It's the same playbook that was used against me by a group of lunatics and losers like Norm Einstein, Andrew Weissman, and Lisa Monaco. They spent the last 9 years thinking of nothing else, and they failed because the people of the United States realized that they were only corrupt lawyers and politicians. I don't know Marine Le Pen, but I do appreciate how hard she worked for so many years. She suffered losses, but it kept on going, and now just before what would be a big victory, they get her on a minor charge, millions of dollars of embezzlement. Okay, that she probably knew nothing about. Sounds like a bookkeeping error to me. It is all so bad for France and the great French people, no matter what side they are on. Free Marine Le Pen! Hey, how about free the American economy? How about that? Donald didn't go on and focus on that. Now, tragically, he was focused on that and golfing, which, remember, I'm going to always say this caveat. I think it's important that we establish what our principles are. It's not that presidents taking time off or working remotely is inherently bad. It's that the imagery, you can't deny, of him golfing moments after he crashed our economy or begun such process is a bizarre imagery. So that's number one. Number two, they freaked out every time Biden did anything that wasn't work. And they said, who's really in charge? And there's crises going on. And Biden never crashed the stock market and then went off to do fun things. And then number three, look at what Trump was not doing that he could have been doing instead. These 4 American soldiers who died in Lithuania, he skipped their dignified transfer. Trump picks golf dinner over dignified transfer of U.S. troops' bodies. What would they be saying if this were Biden? That's my question. Rather than attend the dignified transfer of the bodies of 4 U.S. Army soldiers who died on a training mission in Lithuania, Donald Trump flew to Florida to watch a Saudi-funded live golf tournament at his own golf course and later join a dinner reception there, NBC News reported. Yeah, but have you ever thought maybe he could win another one of his own tournaments? That would be productive. It was unclear who would be attending the transfer at Delaware's Dover Air Force Base, as the White House did not respond to a request for comment from the Daily Beast. The Daily Beast has been unable to verify the timing of the dignified transfer, and the White House and the Defense Department also did not respond to requests for comment. So it's, again, priorities. Meanwhile, the Fed chair is saying, all of this, I'm going to translate. He has to speak in a little bit more Fed chair speak, but I don't know what is going to happen here with Trump and what he's doing to the economy. So I can't really tell you what we're going to do in response.
Lots of outside analysis too. We don't have an FOMC meeting until May 6 and 7. So that's really a process that lasts several weeks, and we're not quite at that stage yet. But we're kind of thinking ahead to that and working through all of that. I will say, though, it feels like we don't need to be in a hurry. It feels like we have time to. Yes, it feels like we don't. No, I mean, it's like I said, you have inflation is going to be moving up and growth is going to be slowing, but it isn't really. To me, it's not clear at this time what the appropriate path for monetary policy will be, and we're going to need to wait and see how this plays out before we can start to make those adjustments.
Isn't that tough? Even the Fed chair, the money guy, the one who knows so well about the economy, even he is saying, we're just going to have to see how this plays out. And it's a fair response, actually, because how would you be able to say, oh, because we expect inflation to do this, growth to do this, we're probably going to do this. We'll probably see these rate cuts or holding them steady or raising them or whatever. We can probably predict with the next few months, this is going to be. How could they say such a thing when Trump changes his plan every 2 seconds? You don't know the escalation that's going to happen. You don't know if Trump's going to bail on the whole thing. And he did say higher tariffs will be working their way through our economy and likely will raise inflation.
Looking ahead, higher tariffs will be working their way through our economy and are likely to raise inflation in coming quarters. Reflecting this, both survey and market-based measures of near-term inflation expectations have moved up. Looking ahead, higher tariffs.
Yeah, and remember that in a previous conversation to the press, Jerome Powell was saying, we had, I forget the exact language, but it was essentially, we had sort of gotten inflation under control and growth was at a really solid mark and things were looking really stabilized. And that was good. Then I'm not going to get political, but something happened. And now we're thinking less good. And we're thinking, we don't know. Yeah, this is a scary time. But no, if you are feeling scared, there are some people who will tell you, no need to fear. Donald Dumpy's here.
The reality is that the mainstream media and these lawmakers are clearly amnesiac, right? And at the end of the day, when we have these retaliatory tariffs from China, this is the same country that sent spy balloons throughout our country. It's the same country that for decades now has infiltrated multiple sectors, intellectual property, physical, economic. The list goes on of the thieving that has happened. And it's the same country that lied about the release of a disease that became a deadly global epidemic. So I am grateful.
So this is what you call a red herring. Yeah, I'm very critical of China. What does this have to do with why Americans need to suffer?
For a commander-in-chief that has the business acumen to go in saying...
Wait, let me start the sentence again, okay?
About the release of a disease that became a deadly global epidemic. So I am grateful for a commander-in-chief that has the business acumen to go in saying this is an audit that we need. This is the most open economy on the planet, the most easy economy on the planet with the lowest tariffs. When did it become a right, not a privilege, to participate in the American economy? He has talked about that we will expect growing pains. And I think in the vein of the general malaise of the past, to have a commander-in-chief, again, that has strong and sort of maintains this attitude of like, yeah, it's going to be a bumpy ride for a minute, but it's going to be worth it. And mind you, with the...
It's this new thing. Guys, why are you confused? Trump has been saying for like ever that it's going to be a bumpy ride and it's probably going to suck, but maybe at the end it'll be something. I mean, he said that a lot. It's weird too because she does it so I've always actually been complimentary of her speaking delivery, right? It's very, I find it very compelling. The way that she sort of nicely does the way her movement of her hands to emphasize her point, the smooth and effective way of speech, which can cause some people to think that what she's saying isn't so bad. You know what? Crazy. Because there's this, you remember Trump saying prices are going to start coming down on day one? No, you don't. You're so weird. You remember him saying that he's going to be good for affordability? No, you don't. You're crazy, right? And you start, am I crazy? Did I? And then you see the clip. No, I'm not crazy. You're crazy. Share your thoughts in the comments. Support the show. Get the members only bonus show by clicking that join button below.